This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Larkspur, Colorado. I am here at Spruce Mountain Guest Ranch. Since 1999, they've been providing an impressive collection of event locations expressed in true Colorado style. I'm here with Tara. Tara, thanks so much for joining us here today. I mean, quite honestly, since the late 1800s, this is a ranch that has changed hands many times. Share with me a little bit how your family got involved and why they decided to make this public.
Gosh, actually, we became public about 6 years ago in the event industry. We started as a cattle ranch. So Spruce Mountain was just a property that my parents bought. It's 450 acres, and they bought it with the purpose of just being a family retreat, a family getaway, but more importantly to become a ranch, a cattle ranch. So they took what was once a broken down, dilapidated piece of property. They renovated it. History is very important to my mother, so we tried to keep as much of the history alive here at Spruce Mountain as we could. And my father began ranching Black Angus. So our first company is actually Spruce Mountain Cattle Company, and we're a seed stock producer for the Black Angus breed.
Wow, so we're talking about this beautiful place that I just drove into is still a working Black Angus cattle ranch. That is pretty impressive. That's the primary goal out here, but they have really taken something and beautified it, brought out the Colorado nature. Was that fun, that whole process?
You know, my brother and sister and I, we really had no clue what they were doing out here. This was supposed to be retirement for my father, but what I realized with him, this man will die on his tractor. He will work until the day he dies. He finds a lot of fun and enjoyment in it. So every weekend we would come out, and there was just something new that has changed, and it was truly their vision. My parents have barely a high school education, but they have this amazing imagination and vision, and it was them that created this space.
That is a wonderful space, wonderful story. Let me ask you this. Back in the day, back when it was a ranch before, was this a place that actually entertained folks on a private guest list before you all decided to make it public?
It was just our immediate family and our friends, and so we did a lot of partying with our friends out here. My parents took the original barn that was built on the property in the late 1800s and renovated into their home, so they actually lived right here on property. And so this is Grandma and Grandpa's house to my children and to my brother and sister's kids. And then it was about 6 years ago, with the turn of the economy, it hit agriculture pretty hard, and just kind of brainstorming with my father, we tried to think of ways to bring an additional income to Spruce Mountain, which is when we decided to do some weddings.
That is wonderful. As I look around, I see a lot of handcrafted detail. I mean, this is kind of stepping back into Colorado history, if you will. Yet at the same time, we're talking about modern day amenities are really tied in nicely.
Exactly. So again, trying to keep the history alive here. We try to keep as much of that, but yet we don't like that nature to get on us. We just like to it's a Rocky Mountain majestic. We don't mind getting a little dirt on our boots, but so we wanted to keep things nice and convenient and comfortable. And again, my parents lived here, so all those modern conveniences are important.
Wonderful. I mean, as I look around, we're talking about everything is kept up very impeccably. I mean, it's beautiful out here. You have indoor locations, outdoor locations. Quite honestly, you can mix the two. This has to win over almost any crowd that would come out here.
It does. Anybody looking for a Colorado experience, this brings it right home. We sit in this gorgeous valley, which we're so blessed to have found this property in this area. Douglas County has been great to us. And the brides that are wanting to show their guests what it's like to be a Colorado girl, this is exactly where they feel at home.
That is wonderful. I was going to tell you, this has to be, obviously the most popular event you have out there has to be weddings. I mean, this looks like something out of a storybook. I mean, obviously a bride gets ready for this day her whole life, and her family and guests. Has this been really something that's been popular, and are brides amazed when you transform it?
It is. I always tell my parents they gave me a really easy sale. When they come in, 50% we get closed. It's just a matter of making sure that our vision fits their vision. This is still our home, and we would like every couple that comes through those gates to feel like a member of our family. And so I think that's another reason why we have been so popular, is that this is not a wedding factory. When people come, they're guests into the Ames family's house, and that's how they're treated throughout the whole process.
That is wonderful. So we're talking about a very warm environment, yet at the same time a professional environment. I mean, as a person is out there planning for the wedding, it's an exciting time, but it can be an overwhelming time. You have a planning guide that has made it easy for them. We're talking about vendors that are recommended, complete room diagrams, everything. Does that help out in that process?
It helps out immensely because most of the girls have never been married before, so this is a first-time experience for them. So we try to give them as many resources as possible. But during wedding seasons, I've been known to wear my cell phone literally around my neck. They can reach me. I tell the girls you can reach me 24/7, and we're here to answer any of their questions. We take a lot of pride with every wedding that leaves here. We want it 100%, and we go for perfection. And I tell the girls that I want them to have just of a wonderful day as they do.
Absolutely. You're like the big sister that basically is on call for them.
Tell them. Yes, I always say, think of me as your big sister, not your mother. I'm like a sister. Yes.
I use that word. I make sure and use that word specifically.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, we can't touch on all the areas you out here, but let's touch on a few. I mean, nothing, they say a very grand entrance can take place there at the courtyard. What is that? What is the courtyard and what is that used for?
Well, our courtyard is actually the most popular way to use the courtyard, because it's lighted with market lights, is for the dance floor. And that is, we advertise ourselves as having an outdoor dance floor. You can dance under the stars at Spruce Mountain. And that is adjacent to Albert's Lodge, which is our main reception site. That room can hold up to 250 people. It was the original hay barn on the property that was renovated 6 years into our reception space.
Interesting. So we're talking about rather large groups, or down to the closest 250 friends and family that you have. Share with me the Grace Chapel. Is that a popular spot?
It is. So we have 2 ceremony sites on our lower ranch. And the ranch is divided between the lower ranch and upper ranch. A mile north of us is our upper ranch area. We just opened that up last year, so it's fairly new. It's where all of our cattle operations take place, and that area can hold up to actually 800 people. But because of the size, the lower ranch seems to be the most popular, because the average size wedding fits this space best, which is around 150 to 200 people. As far as ceremony locations on the lower ranch, one of those is Grace's Chapel. It's actually one of my favorite locations. It's named after my daughter, Grace. She's the only granddaughter of my parents, who have 9 grandchildren. I was married there, and it sits under a gorgeous cottonwood tree. I'm from Minnesota originally, so having a tree in the backdrop of my ceremony was important to me. And it's unlike any of the trees that you do see in Colorado. You see a lot of aspen and things up in the mountains, and a lot of evergreens. But here, having that gorgeous cottonwood tree kind of gives it a little bit of a southern feel and more of an intimate garden setting. Our mountainside ceremony, however, that's going to give you the full-on grand Colorado experience. It sits up on Spruce Mountain and overlooks the entire ranch.
My gosh, so you've got a lot to choose from out here, be it an intimate location at the Grace Chapel, all the way up to the Ponderosa Room, which really can cover quite a bit of guests, and making sure that the reception, the ceremony, everything can take place in one spot.
Correct. Yeah, we try to make it nice and convenient.
400 acres, 450 acre property. We're talking about pretty easily accessible. You've got hotel accommodations not far from here. Does that make it easy for folks to come to this area?
It does. And a lot of our weddings are destination weddings because of the convenience of where Spruce Mountain's located. We kind of sit right smack in the middle between Colorado Springs and Denver. And our elevation here is at 7,500 feet. So you can get that mountain wedding without the travel up to the deep Rocky Mountains, which can be difficult to get 150 guests from another state up there.
Absolutely. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. First of all, on the website, you can take a look at all the wedding packages they provide for you. I mean, we're talking about full group, ceremony, reception, or maybe you just want to get away in an elopement package. You can do that as well. Take a look at the testimonials, and you'll find out that this truly becomes your place when you drive through the doors there. I mean, it's a real family-orientated establishment, and weddings, events. We talked a lot about weddings, but let's talk about corporate events. This has to be a great place to get away, do some team building. Is that something you're open to as well?
Definitely. And we actually have somebody that's hired specifically for our corporate groups. Her name is Bruce Osborne. We have recently partnered with the Broadmoor Hotel, so we like to think of ourselves as the corporate playground for the Broadmoor groups, where they can, after a day of education, they can come here and just play cowboy for the day.
Based on the history here, back to the 1800s, really in a short amount of time, you've done quite a bit. You've also been awarded the Best of Colorado. Share with me a little bit about that.
That was a huge surprise, actually. And it was actually kind of a funny story. I had looked through the Colorado Meetings and Events magazine one day. This whole business was new to us, and I'm like, one day we're going to be in that magazine. And 3 years later, my father and I and my family are at the event, and they announced Spruce Mountain as one of the best wedding venues in the state of Colorado, and we all just kind of looked at each other and laughed because we couldn't believe it.
That is wonderful. Obviously, Grace Chapel has a personal memory for you. Let me ask you this. When the day is all done, you've ran around, taken care of everything, the moment stops, the vows are being done. I imagine you probably tear up a little bit yourself because there's got to be some feelings coming through from the past as well as what you're able to offer people today.
There's actually, on my anniversary, I was giving a tour standing under that tree, and I did tear up with the thought of my own wedding. But more importantly, just the thought of how Spruce Mountain has organically grown into a space that will truly be a legacy for our family. We look at the wedding photos. Weddings was not in our plan, was not in the big picture. It just kind of came about naturally. We fell in love with it, and we just feel so blessed to have these families enjoying the most important days of their lives here.
That's what happens when you let Dad's imagination get away.
It can get pretty scary sometimes, yes.
I imagine it so. Viewers, last time, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. You're going to see their contact information. The best way really is to come out to the venue. The best way is to set up a tour here of the venue. Check out their planning guide. You can see all of the room illustrations right there. You're bound to find something for any size of group, any size of wedding. We're talking about corporate events that can take place here as well. This is their family getaway. It is now going to become your family getaway. We're talking about an immaculate private destination that they have created and is now public. And it's sure to win over your crowd and be one of your favorite spots here in Colorado. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.